President Trump's fraud team is now kicking into high gear, giving many hope that we will see the swamp drained and arrests made for stealing American taxpayer money. Democrats just got terrible news heading into the 2026 midterm election. Even I'm shocked, but the data is compelling. And many Democrats and even former Trump supporters are now calling on President Donald J. Trump to be removed with the 25th Amendment for his attacks on Iran. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. There's a lot to cover, so let's jump in. President Trump's new acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche, gave a press conference earlier today about his new focus with the DOJ and what he hopes to do to stop the nearly $1 trillion in annual fraud with taxpayer money. But his first question from the press was about how President Trump has weaponized the Department of Justice and is using lawfare to go after his personal enemies. AG Todd Blanche stepped in and said, "This is ridiculous." His answer is super compelling. Listen to this.
That is supposedly that when we talk about ending weaponization, as if that's a bad thing for us to do. Okay, people in this room for 4 years, some of you, same people, sat here with the last administration when you saw a weaponization of this department, the likes of which had never been seen in history. And some of you are looking down now. And I get it, because you had a president who was indicted 4 times by this department. You had a president who along with this department had assistance. So this department helped 2 other local DAs go after the president. You had this department who stood idly by while states tried to keep President Trump off the ballot. Okay, that's what happened the past 4 years. And so when I'm asked questions or when I see reporting about shock and awe at this supposed weaponization of this Department of Justice, it means nothing to me, because it's completely false. What we're doing and what we've been doing for the past 14 months is changing this department. We're no longer, people say the president wants to go after his political enemies. No, the president has said time and time again that he wants justice. And if you look at what happened to him, his family, his administration, the agents that protected him, people that happened to just walk by him on a given day, they got subjected to massive investigations by this department. So I understand the question, and I understand the pretty constant role of the media that somehow this department is weaponizing itself, but it happens not to be true. We have tens of thousands of prosecutors all over this country putting bad guys in jail. Okay, that's something that wasn't happening like it should have been happening for the past 4 years.
They now have figured out that almost 40% of all resources under Joe Biden were going to go after Trump or Trump supporters, Catholics, parents, J6ers. So this guy is now saying, listen, we're not weaponizing the Department of Justice. That was something done under Biden. If not, all of Trump's enemies would be in jail right now. If he was really a king, they would all be, right? But they're not. So he's saying, stop with that. We've got so much we need to do. There's a lot of fraud and bad guys that we need to clean up. Now, he went on to say that they have 8,000 new fraud cases that they are currently working on, and that just this week, they've put $500 million worth of bad guys that stole from America in jail. He said it's only Tuesday, and we're already having massive success. Listen to this.
Every day, Department of Justice investigators and prosecutors work to punish those who commit fraud. For example, just this week, and it's only Tuesday, a criminal defendant was sentenced and the department obtained 2 additional guilty pleas in matters totaling over $500 million in healthcare and COVID fraud. If you think about that, just since yesterday, we had a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare enrollment fraud scheme and a sentencing in a $100 million COVID-19 fraud and a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare fraud scheme as well. Each of these cases represents countless hours of dedication from the prosecutors and the federal agents and local law enforcement who work them. The Department of Justice is holding criminals accountable for stealing over $500 million from taxpayers. And across our U.S. attorney's offices all over this country, we currently have over 8,000 fraud matters underway. Unfortunately, as you've heard a lot about recently, because it's true, these cases represent a fraction of the fraud ripping off our country every day. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump, this department, working closely with the task force to eliminate fraud, is supercharging efforts to take down every fraudster and bring them to justice.
All right. So just this week, they have shut down $500 million, $500 million in fraud, 8,000 new cases open. He said there's going to be a lot of arrests. He says that they are surging assets to all of the different areas, working with Dr. Oz, Vice President JD Vance. They want to get to this. And yet he said, everything we're going after is just a fraction of the $1 trillion that's being stolen from Americans every year. But this is good news, right? So, don't get hung up on the fact that, 500 million is small compared to $1 trillion. We've got to make progress somewhere, right? And I'm optimistic that this is the right thing to do for the American people. And just today, AG Todd Blanche said he and Vice President JD Vance, under Trump's authority, have opened up a new division, a new dedicated DOJ division to finding and eliminating the fraud. This is something that is an absolute must. And I'm excited. Listen to what he said about this.
New for this department. We have a storied history of combating fraud and bringing criminal actors to justice. But the department has never adopted a comprehensive and coordinated approach to investigating and prosecuting fraud against taxpayer dollars and taxpayer-funded programs. With over $1 trillion at stake every single year, threatened by increasingly sophisticated and opportunistic fraudsters, the time for this comprehensive and coordinated approach is now. And so today, I'm proud to announce in greater detail the creation of the National Fraud Enforcement Division. Its core mission will be to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal taxpayer dollars and rip off the American people. Our vision is to build a robust fraud-fighting squad capable of investigating and prosecuting the full spectrum of fraud against taxpayer dollars. We are going to staff this division by some of the department's best prosecutors, bringing together experts in healthcare fraud, tax fraud, benefits fraud, and corporate fraud under one roof with one mission: to protect the American people from fraud. Every U.S. attorney's office across the country will also be joining this re-energized fight against fraud. This means, in pure numbers, that there will be an additional 93 prosecutors in every district across the country devoted to the mission of combating fraud with the National Fraud Enforcement Division.
All right. NFED doesn't sound as good as DOJ, right? The National Enforcement Fraud Division. Wait a minute. Let's just get rid of the N, and then it would be F'd. They would be F'd. If you steal money from America, you're F'd. EFD. I just came up with that. I'm going to make a t-shirt. Okay, these people are going to be F'd. Oh, I love it. I'm so grateful. I pay a lot in taxes. I know you guys do too, whether it's sales tax or restaurant tax, whatever, road tax, gas tax. And then to have our money stolen? No. These guys are F'd. Efficient Fraud Division. Boom. Enforcement Fraud Division. That's exciting. I still like DOJ, but that's pretty good. All right, listen to this. This is really exciting news as well. Or maybe it's just me as somebody that's small government, anti-tax, anti-war. Okay, so I told you guys last week about the March job numbers, right? They were expecting 59,000. They ended up with 178,000 more jobs, almost 3 times as many. Unemployment dropped to 4.3%, signaling a good economy. Well, most of those jobs, nearly 100% of those jobs, were in the private sector. And even with those good numbers, 3 times higher than what economists expected, the government shed 18,000 jobs. So we're at the lowest federal government employee level since 1966. This is President Trump keeping his promise to get the job market going and get rid of the people that were living off of the government. So over 350,000 federal workers have lost their job since 2024, representing an 11.8% dip from the recent peak. This means that the government is hemorrhaging jobs, payroll obligation, and it's all being offset by private sector. People, they're not sitting at home collecting a check. They're out working in the real world. And this is just amazing news. All right, more amazing news. So a couple of months ago, I was starting to get concerned. Like, wait a minute, how come every poll has Democrats up big time? Even though Trump was succeeding, this was before the Iran war that split a lot of people and made gas prices higher. Democrats were doing better in the general, the generic ballot polling, right? And I shared with you guys that Bill O'Reilly had said, listen, they always come in early for Democrats. As we get closer, as long as the economy's good, the war's over, and the gas prices are down, you're going to see Republicans go back up. Well, it's already starting to happen. New data from CNN today in this political environment shows that Democrats have very little chance of taking over the Senate. In fact, Republicans will absolutely stay in the majority. Listen to what was shared on CNN about the Senate numbers.
Take a look. GOP would win the Senate with this map. Let's say Republicans only hold on to the states that Trump won by greater than 10 points. That would, in fact, give them the Senate 51-49. Why? Because what you would see is that the Democrats would flip North Carolina, they would flip Maine, but Republicans would hold on to Ohio, they'd hold on to Texas, and they'd hold on to Alaska because Donald Trump won all of those states by greater than 10 points. And I will note, John and I were talking, you have the NCAA tournament going on. This is sort of the chalk scenario going on where the most obvious events actually do occur, because take a look. During the Trump era, look at this. Flip the Senate seat, midterm and presidential years. States the other party won by 10 plus points in the last presidential election. 0, 0, 0 times did a party flip those states. So we're talking about places like Texas, Alaska, Ohio, where Trump won by double digits.
All right. Isn't that amazing? So it's very unlikely that Democrats are going to be able to flip the Senate. Now, the House, that's going to be a tougher one. At the same time, the New York Post put out today that with Nancy Pelosi retiring and there being no real strong leader within the Democrat Party, so Kamala Harris is weak, Gavin Newsom on a national level is very weak. There's nobody that's really strong. AOC, Bernie Sanders, they're all really, really weak. Nancy Pelosi was the driving force, not only for political movements, but for political fundraising. Now, maybe you could say this is going to free her up to do more of that, but she's old. She's in her 80s. She wants to be retired. So there's no real force behind the Democrat Party right now to go out and get things done. They're also not raising money at the same levels that they were, because right now their only motto is F Donald Trump, right? And they can scream F Trump all they want, but if he just goes to work on cleaning up the fraud, they will be F'd, EFD, right? Oh, boom. There you go, in real time, bringing that joke back around, okay? So this is really incredible news, but it gets even better, as they used to say, as I was growing up watching, commercials. Listen to what was shared about the situation with the general ballot. Watch this.
Let's take a look at this. Net favorability party ahead at this point. Midterm years with the GOP president. In 2018, Dems were up by 12. In 2006 on net favorability, which party you like more? Dems were ahead by 18. Republicans are actually ahead on net favorability at this point by 5 points. So Democrats are just simply put running behind their previous benchmarks, and they need to be running well ahead of them if they want to take back the United States Senate.
So in 2006, Democrats around the midterm were up 18 points. In 2018, when they took it back from the Republicans during Trump's first term, up 12. Now, Republicans are the ones that are up 5. So things are actually looking fairly good. And of course, we've got to get through this Iran war situation. We've got to get the gas prices back down. We've got to deal with mail-in ballots, the Save America Act, birthright citizenship. There's still a lot of things, but for the vast majority of Americans, just getting rid of these illegal immigrants, these killers and murderers, having the border closed, goes a really, really long way. Now, you've got many voices calling for President Trump to be removed. I must have watched 6, 7, 8 videos about that just today, and little bit shocking. I mean, I get it. They're worried about him like blowing Iran into the Stone Age. I have the same worries. I don't love this war. I want it to be over with. But you've got people like Ro Khanna who are now saying if there's any shred of dignity in America, we must remove him from office.
If the United States Congress has any life left in it, every member of Congress and senator must be calling for Trump's removal today based on the 25th Amendment. He's threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba. This is a moral crime. It is a war crime. We need to be demanding that Congress convene today, and we need to be invoking the 25th Amendment.
All right. This guy's getting ready to run for president. But you've got people like even Alex Jones, who I've liked for many, many years. I've been on his show. He said today that it's time to use the 25th Amendment on Trump's A and get him removed from office. Now, many people are saying they think that President Trump is going to try to kill 91 million Iranians. The only way to do that would be to drop multiple nuclear bombs. President Trump's least favorite word in the English dictionary is nuclear. So I don't see it happening. Hopefully there's a ceasefire. But right now you've got people saying that President Trump has lost his mind because he wants to blow up electric grids and bridges that are used by the military, not civilian, but ones that traverse military equipment. Well, Obama blew up oil fields and no one called him a war criminal. You've got Clinton over in Serbia. They blew up electrical stuff. They blew up train stations. Unfortunately, it is part of war. And right now you've got Iranians and their children, they're lining up, which is against the Geneva Convention. So, I don't know what is going to happen. I'm hoping that this war will come to an end, but I find it kind of hypocritical that stuff that past presidents did, they never called them war criminals, but stuff that President Trump says he might do, suddenly he's a war criminal. Zelensky has blown up lots of bridges and electrical grids. And what did they say? They called him a war hero and they gave him more money. So there's always a double standard when it comes to Trump. Now, again, I hope this war comes to an end. I'm anti-war. I'm pro-peace. I understand sometimes you got to punch a bully in the nose, but I don't want to see the global economy get out of control. I want to see the Strait of Hormuz reopened, and hopefully that will happen. I know that there's stuff going on right now with Pakistan and Egypt and Turkey, and so hopefully we'll see where that goes. All right, if you found value in this video, please give it a like, stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.